From Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, we wish you a pleasant good afternoon, and my name is Kurt Berglund. We are ready to play Game 5 of the 1982 Replay World Series of the Retro Sports Network. Ron Juckett, for whom we, by the way, give a lot of thanks for everything and getting the channel set up and giving us a great topic to replay over the past few days, and that is the Action PC 1982 World Series. As a result of Ron's work, the Montreal Expos came out of the National League as the champions, and the Baltimore Orioles were the American League champions. And we've played 4 games, and we've gotten precisely nowhere. Montreal took games 1 and 4. Baltimore took games 2 and 3. And we are now ready to play Game 5, which will be the last game played in Baltimore. And then we go back to Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The pitchers today will be Steve Rogers for the visiting Montreal Expos and Mike Boddicker, a surprise starter, for the Baltimore Orioles. The lineups are as follows. For the Montreal Expos, leading off and playing left field is Tim Raines. Batting second in right field, Joel Youngblood. Batting third and playing center field, Andre Dawson. Batting fourth and catching, Gary Carter. Batting fifth, the DH, Jerry White. Batting sixth, the first baseman, Al Oliver. Batting seventh, the third baseman, Tim Wallach. Batting eighth, the shortstop, Chris Spire. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Doug Flynn. The pitcher for the Expos today will be Steve Rogers, who, as you can see, is an A+ rated on the road, which is where he is today, in Baltimore. For the homestanding Baltimore Orioles, leading off in center field, Al Bumbry. Batting second at second base, Rich Dower. Batting third, the DH, Ken Singleton. Batting fourth, the first baseman, Eddie Murray. Batting fifth, the left fielder, John Lowenstein. Batting sixth, one of the heroes of yesterday, tried to lead a Baltimore comeback, was Cal Ripken Jr. Batting seventh, right fielder, Dan Ford. And batting eighth, the catcher, Joe Nolan. And batting ninth, the third baseman, Glenn Gulliver. The pitcher for Baltimore today, Mike Boddicker, who, as you can see, when he pitches at home, is a B-rated pitcher. All right, so it's Tim Raines stepping in against Boddicker. And here we go. The pitch to Tim Raines is a ground ball to Murray. Murray's going to flip it to Boddicker, and that's 1 out in the first inning. Joel Youngblood stepping in. The right-handed batting, Joel Youngblood. Is a fly ball to right field. That's Dan Ford coming in a few steps, but making the play, and that's 2 outs. And batting third, Andre Dawson, coming up with 2 outs. The pitch to Dawson is a base hit up the middle. He singles. He's on with 2 outs, and Gary Carter stepping in against the youngster, Mike Boddicker. The pitch to Carter is ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. And he's going to, don't tell me, pitching check, is a strikeout. And that's 3 outs for the Expos. Boddicker makes it through 1 inning unscathed. We go to the bottom of the first, and it's Steve Rogers. The pitch to Bunbury is a ground ball to second base. That's Doug Flynn, who's going to throw to Oliver for the first out of the inning. Rich Dower stepping in. Dower, we have an error check, our first error check of the game. And that is an 8. An 8 is a error check for the pitcher. And Rogers makes the play. A pop out that the pitcher takes. Don't see that very often. 2 down, Singleton. Ken Singleton hits a fly ball to left field. Tim Raines is back a few steps, but he's got room to make the play, and he does to end the first inning. We're done with 1 inning through the first. No score in Baltimore. Jerry White leads off the second inning. He'll be followed by Al Oliver and then Tim Wallach from Montreal. White sends one to center field. That's 1 down. As Bunbury makes the play easily. And Oliver draws a walk. Al Oliver draws a walk off Boddicker. Tim Wallach. Tim Wallach with 1 out, batting against Boddicker. Whoa, and he smacks a single up the middle. Bunbury's on it in a hurry, and Oliver will hold at second. We have runners at first and second with 1 out in the second. Chris Spire, also homered yesterday. The pitch to Spire, we have a range check. That's third base, that's Gulliver. He makes the play, that's going to go to second. So Gulliver to Dower for 1, and that's all they get. Oliver moves to third. Spire is safe at first. We have runners at first and third for Doug Flynn with 2 outs. The pitch to Flynn. Can you believe it? Is he going to get a hit? No, he's not. As Bunbury comes in and makes the shoe top catch for the 3rd out of the inning. Nothing across for Montreal in the second. We go to the bottom of the second, and we still have no score. Steve Rogers had a 1-2-3 first inning. Let's see how he does in the second inning. We have a range check. That's Dawson in center. He's on the run. He's on the run. He's on the run. He makes the catch. That's 1 out in the bottom of the second. Lowenstein. John Lowenstein with a strikeout. 2 down in the Orioles second. Cal Ripken Jr. stepping in against the righty Rogers. Fly ball to center. This is Dawson in his tracks to make the 3rd out. After 2, we're still no score. Boddicker facing Tim Raines. And that is a walk. He walked Tim Raines. They can pretty much run on Joe Nolan at will. Youngblood is at the plate. He's going to bunt. He squares around and gets it down. And it's a good sacrifice. It's going to be Gulliver to Murray for the sacrifice, and that moves Raines to second. Andre Dawson with a man in scoring position hits a ground ball to second. That's Dower. That's going to move Raines to third, and that's 2 down. Carter comes to the plate and digs in with a man on third and 2 outs. The pitch to Gary. He strikes out. Boddicker gets him. And the youngster Boddicker is not overwhelmed by the situation. After 2.5, we're still scoreless, and he's matching Steve Rogers pretty much pitch for pitch. The pitch to Rogers, or the pitch from Rogers to Dan Ford is a error check. It's an error check. 42 is the third baseman, Wallach. He hits a shot at Wallach, and Wallach fumbles the ball. Ford's going to be safe on the error, and there's nobody out for Joe Nolan. The pitch to Nolan from Rogers is a strikeout. High heat that Nolan cannot catch up with. And now Glenn Gulliver, the third baseman. Gulliver hits a ground ball to first. That's Oliver. Oliver to Spire. Back to Rogers for the double play. And a little unorthodox, but the Orioles are 9 up and 9 down again for the second straight day. After 3, there's no score. Jerry White will lead off against Mike Boddicker here in the 4th. And White lines a shot into the right center field gap. That's past Ford. He's going to go all the way to the wall, and White will reach second with a double. Nobody out. White in scoring position for Al Oliver. Oliver hits a fly ball to center. Is White going to be able to tag? He's tagging. He makes it to third on Bumbry's arm. Wallach comes to the plate with a runner on third and nobody out. And one out. The pitch to Wallach. And he gives us another range check. And that's going to be left field, which is Lowenstein coming in. He will not get there to make the play, and Wallach drives in the first run of the day. 1-0 Montreal. Chris Spire with a man on first. That's Tim Wallach with 1 out. Spire swings at the Boddicker offering and hits a fly ball to center. That's going to be Bumbry. Wallach retreats to first, and there's 2 outs for Doug Flynn. Flynn hits a fly ball to center. Bumbry is going to tie a record held by many and makes the 3rd out. But Montreal gets the first run of the game across the plate. It's 1-0 Montreal. Al Bumbry steps in against Rogers now with a 1-0 lead for Rogers. Bumbry hits a tapper to Oliver at first. He's going to take it himself. That's 1 down. Rogers has faced the minimum. Dower. The pitch to Rich Dower is a fly ball to right. That's going to be Youngblood. 2 down. And Ken Singleton steps in against Rogers. Still no hits for Baltimore. And Singleton strikes out. That's 3. And that completes 4 innings. Montreal is ahead 1-0. Boddicker on the mound. Trailing by 1 run. The pitch to Raines is a fly ball to right. That's going to be taken by Dan Ford. And there's 1 down in the 5th. Joel Youngblood is 0 for 1 with a sacrifice bunt back in the 3rd. And he sends a ground ball to short. That's Ripken. 2 down. And the Hawk, Andre Dawson, is the 3rd man up in the 5th. And the Hawk strikes out. Boddicker gets him. Nothing across in the 5th. After 4.5, Montreal 1, Baltimore nothing. Baltimore looking for their first hit. Bats have gotten cold. We have an error check for Murray. Murray swings and hits one to left field. That's Raines. Does Timmy make the play? He does. And that's one down in the fifth. John Lowenstein, with good power, had a great year in '82 for sure. And Lowenstein strikes out. 2 down in the fifth. Cal Ripken Jr. The pitch to Cal is a fly ball to left. That's going to be Raines again. And that's going to retire the side. Rogers still with the minimum. Still no hits. And we go to the sixth with Gary Carter stepping in against Mike Boddicker. The bullpen for Baltimore is busy. It's Sammy Stewart. Sammy Stewart warming up. Carter, 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, leads off the sixth. And it's a walk, ball 4 to Carter. We're going to have Jerry White step in against Boddicker, who's got to be on a short leash at this point with his manager, Earl Weaver. White swings away and hits a grounder to short. That's going to be Ripken making the play across to first, and Carter advances to second. Oliver coming to the plate with Carter in scoring position and 1 man out. Al Oliver, great hitter by any measure, draws a walk. There's 2 men on, 1 out, and that's going to do it for Boddicker in the sixth. They're going with the veteran Sammy Stewart to take over from here. Excuse me. Let's reset the situation. Gary Carter's on second. Al Oliver's on first. We have 1 man out, and Tim Wallach, who drove in the only run of the game so far, is at bat. Stewart is a B pitcher, and he gets Wallach to hit a grounder to Murray. Murray to Ripken. Ripken back to Stewart, and that's a double play, and that gets Baltimore out of the inning. Wow. And like that, we go to the bottom of the sixth. Baltimore still looking for their first hit. Dan Ford swings and hits a grounder to first. That's Oliver, who gloves it and steps on the bag. 1 down. Joe Nolan. Excuse me. Nolan swings, hits a grounder to third. That's Tim Wallach. Tim Wallach makes the play, and there's 2 down. And now Glenn Gulliver, bottom of the sixth with 2 outs. He's got some pop. Got some pop in that bat. And he just struck out Rogers with the minimum through 6. For the second straight day, we've got a no-hitter alert. Chris Spire facing Stewart to lead off the 7th. The pitch to Spire is a strikeout. Stewart gets his man for the first out in the 7th. Doug Flynn. Flynn swings and strikes out. That's 2 down. And Tim Raines steps to the plate for Montreal. And that's a base hit for Raines. He's aboard. And with 2 outs, he might be going. He is going. Trying to steal. And Joe Nolan just shot him down. Wow. No more making fun of Joe Nolan's arm. Well, actually, we'll still make fun of Joe Nolan's arm. But that time he got Raines. And that's 3 outs in the 7th. Bottom of the 7th. Rogers has allowed no hits for Montreal and leads by a score of 1-0. Bumbry swings. And he drills one down the line. past Oliver, and Bumbry's got the first hit of the game for Baltimore. Dower steps up to the plate. He squares around to bunt. He gets it down and moves Bumbry to third, with Wallach making the play to Oliver. With one out and a man on second, Ken Singleton comes to the plate. They're going to play in, try and cut off the run at the plate. Singleton is 0 for 2 today with a strikeout against Rogers. The pitch from Steve to Ken Singleton is a base hit, and we've got a tie game. 1-1, like that. Eddie Murray steps to the plate. He's 0 for 2. Rogers may be tiring. There's movement in the Expos bullpen. And that's ball 2 to Murray. Ball 2, no strikes to the first baseman for the Baltimore Orioles. And that's a fly ball to left. Raines will take it. And that's 2 out. And now we have Lowenstein with Singleton at first. Lowenstein lines a base hit right up the middle. Dawson charging hard. They're going to hold the slow-footed Singleton at second. And that'll bring up Cal Ripken with 2 outs. 2 on. Singleton at second. Lowenstein on first. Ripken at the plate. He's 0 for 2 today. The pitch to Cal is a fly ball to center, and it's going to be Dawson. Rogers will get out of it, but Baltimore has tied it at 1. Youngblood will lead off the 8th for Montreal. The pitch to Joel, and that is a base on balls. Youngblood walks. And Dawson steps to the plate. They're getting Tippy Martinez ready in the bullpen. Dawson with Youngblood on first, nobody out, swings at Stewart's offering, and that's a ground ball to second. Dower will go to Ripken for 1. The relay to Murray is not in time, and that means Dawson is safe at first. Dawson has an opportunity to steal, and they're going to send him. Gary Carter steps in. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Dawson is trying to steal second. He does so. And he's in scoring position for Carter with 1 out. Stewart in a jam. Tippy Martinez warming in the bullpen. The pitch is a fly ball to left, and that's not going to be able to advance Dawson. There's 2 outs. Jerry White is coming to the plate, and Tippy Martinez will be the new pitcher. Martinez coming in to face White. White is not as good against left-handed pitching, but he is a switch hitter. Tippy Martinez is an A reliever. There are 2 outs in the 8th. He is the Baltimore closer, and they need him to close. White is up. Dawson in scoring position. Are they going to hit for White? That's the question. The Expo bench is not their strong suit, but it looks like Dan Norman is grabbing a bat, and he will do the hitting for Jerry White. Dan Norman will pinch hit here in the 8th for Jerry White, and of course stay in to be the designated hitter, as you might expect. That's Dan Norman's card right there. So Norman will face Martinez with Dawson on second, representing the lead run for Montreal. They're fighting hard for this Game 5. The pitch to Norman is a ground ball to Murray, who's going to take it himself, and that'll retire the side in the 8th. We're 1-1 now, going to the bottom of the 8th, and it's Dan Ford leading off the bottom of the 8th against Steve Rogers. Dan Ford is 0 for 2, but he did reach on the Wallach error in the 3rd. The pitch to Ford is a base hit. He's on, and that brings Joe Nolan to the plate. Joe Nolan is not the world's best bunter, but are they going to ask him to do it anyway? Yes, they are. Nolan's going to try and lay one down. He gets it down, and the bunt is to Oliver. Oliver will flip it to Doug Flynn covering first, and that moves Ford to second base. Glenn Gulliver is due. Glenn Gulliver will not bat. Jim Dwyer, as he did yesterday, will pinch hit for Gulliver today. And Steve Rogers is obviously tiring. However, the Expos' typical left-handed short man is Woody Fryman. And Woody Fryman has pitched 3 days in a row and will not pitch today. However, Bryn Smith and Bill Lee are warming up in the bullpen for Montreal. Dwyer, with Ford on second, steps in against Steve Rogers. The ball game and maybe the series is on the line right here. We're in Game 5. It's the bottom of the 8th. Dan Ford's on second base with 1 out. The pitch to Dwyer is ball 4, and he walked him. We have runners on first and second for Al Bumbry. They're going to leave Rogers in. The man Dick Williams called Gutless is still on the mound for Montreal. There's 1 out. Bumbry's up. A clutch hit puts the Orioles in the lead. Fly ball to right. That's Youngblood. He's moving to his right. He makes the catch. But is Ford going to try for third? He is. The peg to third is not in time, and Ford is in there. We now have runners at first and third for Rich Dower. Are they going to pinch hit for Rich Dower? That's a great question. They did it yesterday, and they're doing it again today. Terry Crowley is going to pinch hit for Dower. There are men on first and third. The lead run is on third base. Terry Crowley will face Steve Rogers, as there is no move made to the Montreal bullpen. Crowley steps in. Dower was 0 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt, and Crowley steps in with a chance to give the Orioles the lead. Ford's on third, Dwyer's on first, and there are 2 outs. The pitch to Crowley, and Terry does not get the job done. It's a fly ball to right. Youngblood's there in plenty of time and makes the catch. That retires the side. So we have a few defensive changes to make here for Baltimore. Let's see how they're going to play this. Bobby Bonner will come in the game at shortstop. He will bat second. Len Sakata will be the new second baseman, and he will bat ninth. And that, in turn, will move Cal Ripken Jr. from shortstop to third base here in the top of the ninth. And Baltimore's ready to play defense. Tippy Martinez is still on the mound, at least to face Al Oliver. Don Stanhouse is warming up in the bullpen. And let's see if Baltimore's got anybody else to warm up in the bullpen. Not yet. Not yet. So Tippy's going to face Al Oliver. The pitch to Al to lead off the ninth is a fly ball to left. Lowenstein is there in plenty of time, and that's one down. Tim Wallach. They're going to have... Oh, boy. No, they're not. They're going to go get him. Tippy's coming out, and Don Stanhouse is coming in. In the ninth, Tippy went 2/3 of an inning, and he allowed nothing. Stanhouse comes in, his second appearance in the series. There's one out in the ninth inning, and Tim Wallach is at the plate. Wallach is 2 for 3 today. He drove in the Expos' run and has hit into a double play. And that is a shot down the line, past Ripken into the corner, and Wallach will end up on second base with a double. Chris Spires 0 for 3 today. Doug Flynn is on deck. Wallach is on third. Spires steps in against Stanhouse. 0 for 3 today with a strikeout. And Spire hits one way back to center field. Bumbry on the run. Is it going to be gone? It's off the wall. Spire cruises into second base. Wallach scores the lead run for Montreal, and Spire's on second base with a double. Chris Spire having a great series. Doug Flynn comes to the plate. Are they going to let him bat? No, they're not. No, they're not. It's going to be Warren Cromartie. Warren Cromartie is going to try and drive in an insurance run in the ninth and face Don Stanhouse. The pitch to Cromartie, and here comes Earl Weaver. Weaver has seen enough of Stanhouse, and we're going to see John Flynn, the right-hander, also a youngster here in the ninth inning, to face Cromartie. He is a right-hander, but Weaver doesn't like what he sees from Stanhouse, and so Spires on second with one out. And Cromartie steps in. The pitch to Warren. And Warren Cromartie draws a walk. We have runners on first and second with one man out. They're going to run for Cromartie. It's going to be... No, they're not going to run for Cromartie yet. They're going to leave Cromartie in the game. Raines is up at the plate. Chris Spires on third. Chris Spires on second. Warren Cromartie's on first. There's one man out. John Flynn's trying to keep it close. Raines wants an insurance run or two. Fly ball to center. That's going to be Bunbury, but Bunbury does not throw well. Spire's going to try and tag and go to third. And he makes it. So there's runners on first and third for Youngblood. Youngblood's in the on-deck circle. He's being called back. It's going to be Terry Francona batting for Youngblood. And Francona will have runners on first and third and 2 outs. There's no action in the Baltimore bullpen. It's John Flynn, win, lose, or draw. It's 2-1 Montreal. There are runners at the corners and 2 outs. The pitch to Francona. He hits one to right field, base hit. That's going to score Spire, and it's going to send Cromartie to second. And it's 3-1 Montreal. Andre Dawson comes to the plate. It's 3-1. The bullpen's running a little thin for Baltimore, but Dennis Martinez is starting to warm up. And John Flynn is still in to face Andre Dawson. First and second, Cromartie at second, Francona at first, and Dawson at the plate. There are 2 outs. And Dawson, we have an error check. Uh-oh, this could be bad. Or it could get him out of the inning. 66 is a ground ball to Bonner. But Bonner throws the ball into the first base box seats. Bobby Bonner just pooped down his leg and throws the ball away. It's 4-1 Montreal. Francona ends up at third. Dawson's at second on the error. And it's going to be Gary Carter coming to the plate. They're going to walk Carter and load the bases for Dan Norman. And the bases are loaded. John Flynn. It's become a disastrous 9th inning for Baltimore. And Dan Norman just hit one hard down the line. Past Ripken. Francona scores. Dawson scores. Carter stops at third. It's now 6-1 Montreal. Oliver is due to hit. He's gonna be walked, and they're gonna bring in Dennis Martinez to try and get out of the 9th. John Flynn spit the bit, and it's gonna be Martinez. John Flynn pitched 1/3 of an inning, allowed 2 hits, 1 walk, and another that was intentional. Struck out none, and allowed no homers, but boy, oh boy. It's 6-1. The bases are loaded, and there are 2 outs in the top of the 9th. Oliver's on first. Wallach is at the plate against Dennis Martinez. And Dennis Martinez just walked in a run. Wow. It's 7-1. It's a 6-run 9th inning for Montreal. Chris Spire comes up. The bases are still loaded, and there's 2 outs. The pitch to Spire is a fly ball to center. Al Bunbury is going to run this one down. But the Baltimore fans are not happy after a 6-run 9th inning for Montreal gives them a 7-1 lead. We need to make a couple of defensive changes. Warren Cromartie is going to stay in the game after pinch hitting for Flynn, and he will play right field. Terry Francona pinch hit for Youngblood, and they're going to bring in Frank Taveras to play second base and bat second. And Jeff Reardon is warming up in the Montreal bullpen, but Steve Rogers is on to try and close out this one and give Montreal a 3-2 lead, heading back to Olympic Stadium for Game 6 and maybe, but not definitely, Game 7. Ken Singleton will lead off the 9th for the Orioles. They got a long way to go. And that's not a good start. Fly ball to right. That's going to be Cromartie. 1 down. Eddie Murray is 0 for 3. And Eddie hits a grounder to short. That's Spire. Spire to Oliver. That's 2 down. And John Lowenstein. Maybe the last chance for Baltimore. 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th. They're down by 6. The swing by Lowenstein is another grounder to Spire. Spire throws to Oliver. The Expos win what was a tight game, 7-1, and now lead the series 3-2. They got out of Baltimore having won 2 games, and that's more than they probably could have hoped for. The line score was okay for Baltimore until it got ugly in the 9th. Montreal scored 7 runs in this game on 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits, and they committed 1 error. Baltimore scored 1 run on 4 hits. They really haven't hit in 2 games now. And they committed 1 costly error by Bonner in the 9th inning. The winning pitcher is Steve Rogers for Montreal. Steve Rogers was the winning pitcher back in game number 1, and that makes Rogers 2-0 on the series. The losing pitcher is Don Stanhouse, and I believe he was involved in another decision, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe he wasn't. No, I guess not. That would make Stanhouse 0-1. There was no save. Montreal now leads the series 3-2. We go back to Montreal for Game 6. We'll see who Baltimore decides to send out in obviously a must-win game for them. Charlie Lee will take the mound for Montreal. And I guess at this point we'll leave it as to be determined. However, I can tell you, we'll do the as-played lineups for Game 6. I can tell you that in Ron Juckett's World Series, the Montreal Expos did win Game 6 and won the World Series in 6. If Baltimore forces a Game 7, we'll have to see how we play that one. But then the lineups will be up to me. So Rogers with a complete game victory, Montreal with a 7-1 win, and we're going back to Montreal for Game 6 with the Expos ahead 3-2. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel. And if you like Pine Tar Baseball as much as I do, or even if you just want more information, check out ttlbaseballgame.com. ttlbaseballgame.com. So long, everybody.